solvent inside that cylinder and let it soak a little bit, since we did fire so many rounds of medium quality ammunition, since we were just plinking and having fun. All right, so the solvent goes on, and you can see the gun residue come off, because this powder gets everywhere, especially forward of the cylinders are equal to the cylinders. I've seen plenty of videos on YouTube that show how the flash from even though there's a mechanism that's designed to seal and prevent a lot of gas and fire escaping with a revolver. A revolver is not a solidly, tightly designed weapon, and there's plenty of flash and plenty of powder escaping that doesn't go down the barrel, and you got to get rid of that stuff. Okay, so we gave it a good coating of solvent. Now remember, the purpose of solvent is to loosen rust a little bit and to dissolve and break up gunpowder and other components of the primer chemistry. It loosens it all up so that it can then be removed. So I'm giving it a good little brush, again using the nylon. I could use the copper, it won't hurt it, but this weapon is not that dirty for that, even though we fired it a lot. It is dirty, but it's not excessively dirty. Okay, so now that I have brushed it off, now I am removing the solvent. You don't want to leave solvent on your weapon. You want to get it totally off. So you want it dry. And then we'll have a conversation about oil and how much oil, etc. Now, there's a big controversy about how much oil you leave on your weapon. And like I said, I have depended upon my armorers. Now, my armorers, since I was a full colonel, I was able to get armorers who are highly skilled, not just someone who was given it as an additional duty, but someone who loved weapons, enjoyed working with weapons, and kept them in very good shape. I wish all armorers were like that. Many of them are quite professional. So I would chat with these armorers, and I would also talk to the gun representatives and the weapons manufacturers, and to the various arsenals and depots where I had my maintenance done when the weapons were turned in for repair, or refurbishment, barreling, etc. And I was told a lot of stuff, good, bad, and in between. And I think I'd like to share some of those conversations. Okay, so there we go. So this has been cleaned fairly well. You can see the pad. You keep putting on and rubbing off until you get a clean patch. Because again, what we're doing, I'm showing that to my daughter so she can see it too, so that we get all of the powder residue off of it. This is the load-bearing cylinder pin. All right, done. Put it off to the side. And next we'll work on the cylinder itself. The cylinder gets has a lot of work. First of all, you got two sides. You got the side where you put the bullet in during the loading and deloading process and the turning mechanism. Then you get the other side that does all the work, that has to bear all that flash and explosion, etc. And you can see a lot of powder, a lot of dry powder out here. So we're going to get rid of that. Now, what we also need to do is to start treating the inner cylinder. I'm sure it'd be impossible for me to time it right with this camera to let you see inside the cylinder. I'm going to try, but it's dark behind it and it probably won't work well. Probably won't even focus well. But the cylinder, when I look through to the individual ramparts for it, I see lots and lots of residue and debris in there. So we're going to have to take care of that. Sweetie, could you hand me the rod? There's a short rod in there that has a pad on it. Yeah, thank you. As opposed to the one that was in front of me, this is the one I always use. And it has a little buffer pad on it, which I'm going to remove because we're not ready for that stage. When we go to the range, even though rods are available in case you have malfunctions, I always take my own rod. I know it. I know it's soft. And notice I put this cute little soft brush on it to knock out bullets or rounds or debris if it gets inside the barrel. Always good to have it, even though you can probably get that. And of course in the field, there's plenty of field expedient things such as sticks that you can use. But nonetheless, let's not work that way just yet. All right, so the first step is to get solvent in there. So what I'm doing now is I'm digging around for a loop. Now you can use a jag. A jag is one of these little plastic guys that has a pin on it where you can actually stick the pad, literally stick it through and then go through. And the jag does have more power. But right now I'm not cleaning. Right now what my mission is to get solvent inside the cylinder and let it start soaking and softening up all that bad stuff that's in here. So we take a pad and give it a little dunk. It has plenty of solvent on it. Now this cylinder is dirty. So rather than using this one at a time, remember my goal right now real quick is to simply get solvent inside of each of these cylinder pieces. So I go in, and notice that when I come out and I go back, it actually pulls the other side. So there was and I do this for each cylinder, and you can see how dirty this guy is. Look at that, it's just awful. And I am not re-dirtying it because they're all equally dirty. All I'm doing is putting a nice amount of solvent in each cylinder. I'm going to take a second here to pause and take a look. And I can see it looks infinitely better, but nonetheless. But what I'm looking for is that nice liquid shininess to let me know that I put solvent in each cylinder. And I, just for fun, and because we want to make sure we do a good job, I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to set that cylinder, not to the side because I'm going to start cleaning the exterior of it, but the interior is now going to soak for a few minutes. Here we go. Another loop. Again, using a jag is perfectly fine. To each his own. This, as you can see, this is nice and tight. If it wasn't tight, I would use the jag, but this one's working quite well. Boy, that's a dirty cylinder. We really had some fun the other day. Actually, it was just yesterday. Yeah, my daughter's a pretty good shot. She scared me. This was her first full day. She's fired a gun on several occasions as a younger person, but we went out and really went through gun safety and gun handling and sight picture and stuff. And quite impressed. Good job. Thank you. Had a lot of fun with it. And my son was out there too. He was showing off. He likes to do that. He's such a gigolo. Okay, so it's nice and soaking. So now while that's soaking away, let's clean the exterior. Now, the exterior suffers from all these flash burns on the barrel side and a lot of blowback residue on the shell casing or the rim side. Okay, flash, rim, in it goes. So let's put that off to the side again. So let's go ahead and clean this. So first thing, as always, you need to get solvent on the problem to start eating away all that bad stuff. So I take a Q-tip, give it a good soak, and let's put a nice liberal amount of solvent on the flash side of the cylinder. See that? Yep, plenty of powder residue coming off. And by the way, powder residue is highly corrosive. So you're not being a good steward of your weapon by waiting a long time before you clean your weapon. Preferably cleaning it the same day you use it. Preferably cleaning it immediately after your range or your field activity, or your maneuver, your FTX, field training exercise, or deployment, or a mission, depending on whether we're peacetime or wartime. Or you're a hunter or a shooter. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I got lots of solvent on it. Take the nylon brush, give it a good initial run and see how it's coming off. And it is coming off, but not to the extent I would like, so I'm going to kick it up a notch to my my copper, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little more solvent on it. Remember, when it comes to cleaning and using metal on metals, it's important that you realize the hardness of the various metal products that you're using so you don't scratch it or remove the bluing. Generally, rule of thumb, if you will, is that nylon, obviously not a metal, won't hurt it. Copper won't hurt it. And brass won't hurt it. So brass brushes, copper brushes, and nylon brushes are all perfectly safe to go to town. Now, if you're working with antique arms, you may be working with some softer metals. So at that point, that's when you have to start getting some advice from a smith, or watch other channels that talk about and give advice about cleaning antique weapons. And when I say antique in this concern with metallurgy, I'm talking about very old weapons, weapons that are centuries old. Most modern weapons can handle this kind of cleaning with no damage and no wear. Okay, here we go. It's coming off very well. There's still some little stubborn components here, so I'm going to really give it a good drenching in solvent and do it again. And you see how you can still see like dry powdery stuff. What's more important, or not more important, but what's important is also to see what it looks like clean, so you know what it is. So a lot of people regrettably, when they're cleaning their weapons, didn't really take a good look. See, look at that. Oh boy, that's really coming off. They don't take a moment to take it's a modern era, right? Take some snapshots of your weapon when it's brand spanking new, so you can see what these components, how they look, so that you can compare them as you go through your cleaning, maintenance, or repairs, and know what the state looks like. Yeah, a lot of people know weapons real well. They don't need to do that, but hey, take a picture of it. When you disassemble it, make a movie of it. That helps a lot.